Okay, got something new I've been working on for the HDZero goggles to show off. It's head tracking or antenna tracking for the HDZero goggles that tells the user where to point their head for the best antenna signal for your patch antennas. First step, place your drone in a known position. I'm using the four corners of these concrete, and in the OSD, you'll see arm at user position. What this is doing is reading the latitude and longitude from the on-screen display and parsing that as the user's position. So I'm going to arm and disarm, and it's going to say arm at takeoff. I'm going to clear the end screen so that the latitude and longitude show up, and I'm going to take the drone where it's going to take off. I'm now going to stand where I first armed and face the drone. That's very important for calibration. You face the drone and look level. Don't look at it, look above it. Then you arm again. That's its position of the drone. You'll know it works if there's a green triangle at the top and a green bar on the right. That is the drone's position. If I move my head left and right, you'll see the green dot moving in the goggles. So now I'm going to look directly ahead at the drone where it is, and I'm going to start flying. And I'm going to move to the right. You'll see that triangle is over to the right now. So now, if I go over here and land, you'll notice I'm still facing forward. So if I clear that OSD, that's important, that end screen messes it up. I'm going to turn till that green arrow is centered where I'm looking, and you'll note I'm looking at the drone. And that's happening constantly during flight as the OSD updates too. So when you're out 3 miles away on a ridge and you can no longer hear the drone, you can still get a heading of where to point your head. I've been asked how this works several times, so I'm going to do my best to explain. We have our pilot location during our calibration. That's our first arm. We also have our takeoff location from our calibration. That's our second arm. And of course, we have the current location of the drone, which is displayed on the OSD constantly by that latitude and longitude. This gives us 3 points, which we can draw a triangle between. We can draw lines between the pilot and the takeoff location, the pilot and the drone, and the takeoff and the drone. And we can calculate distances of any two latitude and longitudes using some math that's pretty well figured out. Using those distances, we have essentially just turned this into a trigonometry problem. So this is now a side, side, side triangle. And we can just use what's called the law of cosines to determine the angle between PT and PD. Remember, when we calibrated, we pointed at our head at the takeoff location of the drone. And so the difference between PT and PD is our heading, and that is where we need to point our head. And so we then just use the head tracker built into the HDZero goggles to determine where the user is pointing their head and line up the dots. A very similar problem is done to calculate the angle of attack for the goggles, how far up to tilt your head or the pitch. But you only really need to worry about that as a right triangle, because we don't have to deal as much with where we just need the distance to the drone, really. So that's how this works. It updates on every frame that the OSD updates, so it's not completely real time. I won't say it's perfect, but it's a very simple thing to do and very easy to set up, because all you need are these HDZero goggles. You don't need anything else. You don't need ELRS backpack. You don't need anything except to put the latitude, longitude, and elevation on your OSD, and we parse all the information we need from that OSD.